Thanks for the introduction. Let me actually normally don't read, but since we're in a period in which is very sensitive, before we actually come out with a specific economic analysis, I decided that it would be safe to actually write my comments. First of all, again, good morning and thanks for inviting us to participate. I'm here, as Audrey said, representing both National Milk Producers Federation and the U.S. Dairy Export Council. We work very closely with the International Dairy Food Association, and we hope to actually have a statement very soon about TPP. I want to also start by acknowledging all government officials from the United States that are represented here incredibly well by Ambassador Darcy Vedder. You know, if you have never been in negotiations, you know the amount of time. I remember one story in which Ambassador Vedder, of course, more than one time, she was sick, and Ambassador Froman would actually put a napkin on his face just not to get sick. But you know, and she would actually continue to work and continue to put all the effort to try to bring the best possible agreement back for agriculture. This certainly wasn't an easy task. TPP, for dairy at least, is a very unique among U.S. free trade agreements because that includes two of our largest dairy competitors, New Zealand and Australia, and as well as three of our largest foreign markets, Mexico, Japan, and of course Canada. And Canada is very unique because it seems to always get away with protecting or blocking U.S. trade into Canada. The U.S. dairy industry, for many of you that may not know, has evolved in the last 15 to 20 years. Very few people know that the U.S. is the largest cheese exporter today in the world. And we actually are the third largest exporter of dairy products after New Zealand and Europe as a whole. When TPP was launched from a dairy and ag perspective, and Mary knows this very well since she was actually there, there was not much for dairy or agriculture in general. I mean, this was actually a few countries, most of them we already had an agreement with, and then there was Brunei and New Zealand, a country of 4 million people that export 90% of their dairy products. So obviously it was an interesting take for us. Faced with that prospect, we think that some industries, or most industry, would have actually tried to oppose that agreement. And instead, the U.S. dairy industry put their thoughts together. We supported TPP from the very beginning, and we took actually a three-pronged approach. We tried to make it favorable for agriculture. And those three-pronged approach started with looking at how can actually agriculture and dairy benefit. And that was when we began and initiate this idea of having a WTO SPS plus, SPS WTO plus agreement. And we brought it into the USDR and USDA, and together we worked to have the kind of agreement that we have today. I have to say that New Zealand was extremely supportive of this, and without their support, their help, this would have not been the case. The other issue, as Ambassador Vedder mentioned, is the geographical indicators. We brought that idea to have some specific issues to bring parameters into the enhancement of the protection of non-tariff barriers with respect to GIs from the European Union. And finally, the third prong was to actually bring new market access possibility. Because again, remember, Japan and Canada came at a later stage. So we actually were very encouraged and we were very supportive of having these two countries. And we supported comprehensive elimination of all tariffs from the very beginning. When we knew that this wasn't going to be the case, we of course stood up next to Ambassador Vedder, supporting the fact that perhaps we didn't have to, or it wasn't going to be the case, that we were going to eliminate every single tariff in Canada or Japan, while certainly others in the ag community rejected that. Since then, obviously, this market access have been somewhat a little bit of a disappointment with respect to Canada and Japan. We certainly wanted to actually see a major opening of that market. That doesn't mean that actually the overall agreement may not end up as being positive for the U.S. dairy.